Hello, and thank you for stopping to watch this presentation. It is about my 4-book trilogy concerning addiction. But any discussion concerning people who use and abuse substances, legal or otherwise, must begin with first establishing the conceptual framework on which the discussion is based. The most popular, for all the wrong reasons, is the medical model, which considers addiction to be an illness or a disease. Well, for the most part, we consider disease and illness to be something that we catch unwittingly and unwillingly. Therefore, it's something over which we have no control. Since we have no control over this physical illness that causes us to abuse substances, we can be held responsible for creating or for having it. It's not a family, community, or a social problem. It's a physical illness or disease. It's a medical problem in the domain of medicine, and therefore up to medicine to fix. This is an attractive, feel-good conceptual model, which, however, comes at a huge price. The price is evident all around us, including the proliferation of conferences about the topic. There is no sign of the problem abating. On the contrary, the evidence is overwhelming that the problem is expanding exponentially. So far, therefore, the medical model concerning substance abuse has not been very helpful in spite of its popularity. At the other end of the spectrum, there is the psychosocial conceptual model of substance abuse. It's not very popular and it struggles to stay alive. Almost every day, the medical model drowns out its voice with a new promise of a quick and easy fix, such as deep brain stimulation, of course, to be available in 5 years' time after much more research. The psychosocial model lacks popularity essentially because most people only see that it holds them responsible for having and creating a problem. They do not recognize that the psychosocial model also empowers them to solve it. If we create addicts, we have the powers to stop doing it and to do something very different. It is that simple, of course, except for the doing. My 4-book trilogy is based on the psychosocial model. It is all about empowerment through clarity, understanding, and action. The goal is to prevent the problem from occurring in the first place. However, since the problem already exists globally, the secondary goal is to empower those in need with strategies for gaining predictable, lifelong control over it. My 4-book trilogy is written in a style conducive to mass consumption. The protagonist is Sally, who narrates the story of her experiences in her own voice. At the end of each book, I offer my own working hypotheses, observations, and formulations in a style that is consistent with Sally's easy manner. The first book, 2, One Destined to Addiction, the Other to Be Free, first chronicles the creation of an addict. Then, environmental conditions conducive to preventing the outcome is described in the voice of the other protagonist, Robert. The point of the book is that addicts are created, or not, during gestation and the formative years. Almost every addict eventually becomes addicted, but not every addicted person is an addict. If you are intrigued by this novel concept, you should read 2. Freedom, Sally Gets Sober and Starts to Grow Up, is the second book of 4 in my trilogy about substance abuse. It is also written in the voice of Sally. It chronicles her journey to getting and staying abstinent. The message is that it is not an easy journey, but it is doable. Sally explains in no uncertain terms why the Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step program has to be an integral part of her life, and that without it, she cannot stay abstinent. Her explanation is based on the notion of spirituality defined as living in harmony with being an addict. If you find these notions intriguing, you should read Freedom. The third book in my trilogy tells the story of Sally's brief, nasty dance with psychiatry. All newly abstinent addicts invariably experience mental, emotional, and behavioral problems. Their drug-suppressed issues come to the surface. And since only recently abstinent and just starting to grow up, Sally, like others in her circumstances, is seduced by the promise of a quick and easy fix. A fix provided by psychiatrist-prescribed medication. Happily, Sally survives the dangerous vortex of involuntary intoxication, while sadly others do not. What Sally learns about biological psychiatry and psychiatric drugs will shock, terrify, and amaze you. If this intrigues you, read Sally's brief, nasty dance with psychiatry. By the time you see this presentation, the third book will also be available on Amazon. If the ideas resonate, start conversations with others. Join the ranks of the rational few who are not afraid of empowerment and responsibility. As an enticement, the fourth book in the trilogy about addiction, and yes, I do know a trilogy is 3 books, but I decided on 4, deals with the perils of tribalism and the pervasive human malaise of squandering life's gift of cognitive developmental potential. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about my books, the fruits of some 50 years of figuring out what life experiences creates addicted addicts and how I can be of assistance to them. And most of all, thank you for reading.